Welcome to the Omnibus Show, a program for people who are interested in everything, with deep conversations on a wide variety of subjects. And now your host, Dave Gibbs.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Omnibus Show, the program for people who are interested in everything, deep conversations on a wide variety of subjects. This week's guests are Suzann DeLay and Ashley Jacobs, who are with the Central Indiana Dance Ensemble. Suzann is the executive and founding director, and Ashley is the Co-Artistic Director and founding member. Welcome, ladies. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you so much. Well, Suzann, there's a lot that we can talk about, but would you please start by telling us about how you started out?
Sure. I actually started out dancing at 4. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons was that I was pigeon-toed, so turned in. And in those days, they wanted to put me in shoes with leg braces and to correct this pigeon-toe walk. But my mother would not hear of that. And she had taken ballet lessons when she was a young girl and understood that stretching and the tendons and the muscles could help, but also ballet is a turned-out position as opposed to the turned-in position. Mm-hmm. So she put me in ballet at that age, and as it progressed, I just fell in love with ballet, and that's all I wanted to do. So that's where I am today, still in love with ballet.
That's fabulous. Happy returns.
Thank you.
On that. Well, Ashley, now I'd love to hear your story on that. Now, obviously, your mother has kind of set the stage for you, but your story.
Yep.
How did you progress? You started later, you said?
I did start later. I didn't start dancing until I was 10. I went to go see a dance recital and really wanted to do tap and jazz.
Oh, okay.
And she said, no, you don't really want to do tap and jazz. I think you want to do ballet.
Well, that's not fair, but...
Come on, let's have now I can be Dr. Phil. Okay. What kind of a psychological effect?
Well, no, she wanted to do tap and jazz, and I said, okay, but you must take ballet too. So
Gotcha.
I didn't tell her she couldn't take tap and jazz. She just had to take the ballet lessons.
There's the
in addition to.
clarification for you, right?
Yeah.
Do they tend to go together, tap and jazz? Are they kind of more related? You know this better than I do. Than ballet.
Ballet is the technical foundation for both.
Yes.
For all dance forms. Sure. So that's where she was coming from, is that I need the technical background before doing all the other.
The first position.
Yeah.
The second.
And I mean, what ended up happening is I really loved ballet more than the tap and jazz. You know, tap and jazz is more to, poppy music, and that's what I liked about it. And but then when I got into ballet, I really enjoyed ballet and the.
What was it that did it for you?
For the ballet?
Yeah, was it the music, or was it just you just sort of swept? Because it's it's beyond my province. I know a little bit, but that makes me dangerous. I don't know that. Is that with ballet, it's very, the flowy is the word I could think of. It's not theoretical, but is that, what was it about ballet that really drew you in?
Well, I think really, it's every girl's dream to, wear a tutu and point shoes. And I think once I got the point shoes, I was like, okay, I'm all in. Like, dancing on point. But
it's just a girl thing.
Yeah, but also then the challenge that comes with it.
That's nice.
Ballet's kind of really right or wrong,
Gotcha.
You're either in the position or you're not in the position. You're constantly working for that.
So it's very form, but there's a discipline to it.
Yeah.
Well, that is very, very interesting. Now, Suzann, you've been with some different companies, and I wanted to bring up, I have a cousin who was involved with one of the companies you were involved with.
So, yes, I was up in Seattle, and Pacific Northwest Ballet was just being formed. So I was a member of the very first year. We were in a little studio, and it wasn't even a studio, it was an old school in the University District of Seattle. And started with PMB for a little bit. I had tendonitis then, and the weather was really tough on my acute tendonitis.
Sure.
So I had started out with Sacramento Ballet, went to Seattle, came back. So then I came back to Sacramento Ballet and danced for a couple more years until it was just too painful.
Gotcha.
And at that point,
the weather affected you. Yeah.
yeah. So it was time for me.
And the connection is my cousin Rebecca but she was young, very young. She was with a school in Wallingford district, and then was in, until she was a early teenager. She was in, one of the children's parts, and so kind of was in the group. But it's a wonderful production. And Ashley, back to you.
Yep.
What you've done a lot. You worked with a lot of different groups. Can you tell us a little bit about you? You went to, was it Utah?
Yeah, so I went to University of Utah. Ended up graduating from IU. I've also back when I was in high school, Butler University also had a gifted and talented program.
Oh, nice.
So when I was a senior in high school, I got early release and danced with their freshman class as a senior in high school. So I did that for a year, got into the University of Utah's ballet department.
Now, that's beyond my province, but is that one of the leading schools in ballet?
Yeah, so it was. Now it's a dance department. It's both. It's all the different genres now. Yeah. So it was strictly just ballet, and I auditioned there and one other place in Pennsylvania, and I decided I wanted to go to Utah. And then I got out there, and Utah is very far away. So
okay, sure.
So came home only at Thanksgiving and Christmas and spring break, and that was a little bit not enough for me. So
gotcha.
Decided to transfer to IU into their contemporary dance program. But my degree is actually a Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology with an emphasis in dance performance.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Kinesiology. Can you explain to us what?
So that's just kind of how the body, moves with the muscles and bones, and we're talking about
sort of the science,
the science behind the body movement.
That's fascinating. Yeah. How that, and then the knowledge of that helps you in
teaching. Yeah.
In teaching, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, ladies, if you'd tell us about the school, could you tell us a little bit about the program? You've got the academy, and then you've also got the company. Can you tell us a little bit about, now we'll get more into the particulars in chapter 2, but in terms of, you're here in Carmel, and just a little bit about what you do for, having students, bringing students into your program. They're pretty young, aren't they?
Right. Our program starts at age 3 and goes up to when the kids graduate, 18 usually. Although we do have a toddler and me program too, so 2.5, with parental participation. So we have a pre-primary group, and then we have our lower division, and then we have our upper division. So we have 3 different divisions within our school.
Okay. Well, that's it for chapter 1. We'll be back after a brief break for chapter 2 on the Omnibus Show. Hello and welcome back to chapter 2 of the Omnibus Show with Suzann DeLay and Ashley Jacobs from the Central Indiana Dance Ensemble. Well, we were talking about your experience in chapter 1, and I'd like to ask you, chapter 2, about what are your favorite programs? What are your favorite shows? Your ballet.
So my favorite ballet is Coppelia, which a lot of people know about, but it's not one of the more popular ballets that are produced. But it's a lighthearted comedy about lovers and a toy maker who makes a doll that is lifelike. And the antics of the girls going in the toy shop and all the comedy that happens after that until, of course, in the end, like ballets do, they realize it was a fake doll and they fall in love with each other and they get married. But that's my favorite.
Wonderful. That suits the bill of the ideal program, right?
Right.
They're not going to cry when they go out after the show.
No.
They're all going to be happy and
Yes.
get something to eat and drink. And Ashley, what's your favorite?
Mine is
or a favorite.
one of my favorites is, of course, the Nutcracker.
Okay.
One, because I like the storyline, but two, as a teacher, as a director, I really enjoy like how excited our dancers get to do it, and I think that's the fun part of my job is seeing both sides of it, watching it and enjoying it, but then seeing how much our students enjoy it as well.
Well, that's great because that's the one I know. I definitely know that, but it has this thing where the tunes, there's a lot of good tunes, and it's kind of like, if I could be like a producer, it's like it's the Mary Poppins, if you will, of all the ballets, because it has all those tunes and it changes scenes so much. With the Sugar Plum Fairies and all these nutcrackers and the whole adventure and so forth, the little rat, and that whole adventure that she goes on. And I think everybody, all ages, really love that show. Yeah. So those are really good programs. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'd have to say the Nutcracker myself because it's like that's the one I know. But with the programs, with your students, I'm switching over to for people who are interested in bringing their children into dance. I would think that the mom or dad would be kind of the first mover, especially if you're 2 or 3 years old. You don't have a 3-year-old kind of playing around saying, "Oh, ballet, mama." What's that process like for your students going through your program? Like you've mentioned in the previous chapter that you were 3 through 18 in ages.
So a 3-year-old coming to the dance studio, they take, a 45-minute dance class. Again, we start at 2.5 with, it's called Toddler and Me. So parent or guardian can start with the child. But really the independent class starts at 3, 45 minutes. And every year it kind of just builds up a little bit more. The 5-year-olds, they take an hour class. 6-year-olds, they're offered to take, ballet and jazz and tap if they would like to. And then up to level 3, they take 2 days a week, an hour and a half each. And then it just kind of builds from there. Level 4 is 3 days a week, 2 hours a day. And
so that's 2 hours like physical workout. Your
physical class,
stretch, the
whole ballet class. Bar work, center work. Our level 4 is starting pre-point class. So getting them ready to get their point shoes. Our level 5 gets their point shoes. Usually in the fall, and then all the way up to our level 9. So that's high school kids, and they're there 6 days a week.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's a full-time job.
Yep.
So it really, you level up as you go on. And, but to kind of cover some things, the point shoes being your dance shoes, a lot of that in your nomenclature it's about stepping a certain way, isn't it? There's an art to where you position your feet and the way you step, and that's adapted to the dance. Correct.
Well, so that's when they're dancing up on their toes.
Correct.
And so they have to, why they don't get their shoes until, level 5 is they have to be strong enough too. So we do a lot of conditioning of their feet with like what you would exercise bands to get them all ready, and a whole half an hour for 3 days a week for a whole 1.5 years to get them ready for those. Yeah. And then we just take what they've learned in class and put it on point. So it's everything they know. It's just a little different.
Correct.
So,
well, what would they just start with? Normal shoes or?
Yes, they just have normal ballet shoes to start.
Ballet shoes to start off. But because those are really kind of like, the point shoes are like wraparounds, basically. They're just like having fabric on your feet, kind of.
So they're more like, I don't know, think of kind of like paper mache that you do in an art class. It's kind of like that, where it's lots of paper and glue and cardboard and all wrapped and made pretty with satin on the outside and strong enough to hold
but it doesn't have
the body weight.
That hard.
It is hard, yeah.
It is. It's hard, but it's different than a regular shoe.
Oh yes, it's much harder. Yeah.
Your foot has to be more disciplined for that kind of.
Yes, and that's why for at least our academy, it's level 5, so that they're strong enough.
Gotcha.
So that they're not only relying on the shoe to hold them up.
Correct.
Also,
they have to have that physical strength. Mm-hmm. Well, that's fascinating, and
they also need to be taking certain amount of classes in order to be strong enough for their point work.
Yeah. So that's part of the physical training. And you mentioned the bars. Yeah. And I've seen movies and things, and I remember visiting my cousin when she was at her school, that there was that bar in the window, or the mirror rather, and you had to do a lot of the stretching with that. And that is part of the conditioning, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And that's part of eventually you get into 2 and more hours of training for that, because it's very physically demanding as you progress.
Yes.
Yeah. That is fascinating. So level 9. What is the progress for your student who wants to carry on after they graduate from high school and from your program? Do they go into a company, or do they go to college and then a company? How does that generally progress?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the dancer, and it depends on what the dancer wants to do. Mm-hmm. There are many good university programs here in Indiana, but also around the country, that a lot of our students have gone to get their degrees and then are able to get into a professional company and dance professionally. The other way is right after when they graduate their senior year, they start looking at, what do I want to do? We always talk about plan A and plan B. Plan A being trying to go out on your own and getting a contract with a company. Plan B is going to the university program. So we have a lot of students that are able to go to a company and get a trainee position where they're being trained professionally along with professional dancers. Mm-hmm. And so that's the other way of going on with your career and kind of bypassing college. Although we do talk to them about taking online courses now, even though they get into a company, so they can keep that education going.
Sure. And that's helpful, because some will go on, but it's very few really, like pro sports, right?
Right.
That go on to get into those big companies and stay at that top level. I would think that the competition would be very high. And just in our country, the nature of ballet, that's a specialized, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's a specialized society. What are some stories, special stories that you have from your, that have happened during your years of having the program? What are some stories that really stand out to you and performances?
Yeah, so just recently, just last month, we just finished wrapped up our 24th season with Snow White. And what was it, Sunday? I think it was our Sunday performance. And the light board, the power to the light board just went out in the middle of a show. Mm. And our dancers, we had probably 8 or 10-year-olds on stage. And then, Snow White was there, and she's 15, I think. And no lights, nothing on stage. The music was still going. But they all still kept dancing. And so it was amazing. The audience actually got out their cell phones and turned on their flashlights to help them
That's great.
See before we could bring down the main curtain, because obviously it was getting unsafe, because we thought they'd just pop back up and
Gotcha.
The lights would pop back up. But
sure.
I mean, great resilience on our dancers and adaptability. Just we kept going. It was amazing. Yeah.
Well, that's a great story. That's a testimony to your training of these students. That's great.
And we had another event. It's been several years ago now. It was during our annual Nutcracker. And it was the snow scene. And the snow scene is about 6.5 minutes. It's a pretty rigorous bit of dancing. And we lost the music.
Oh, my.
Total, no music. And there's 9 dancers that are in our snow. And those 9 dancers kept going for the whole length of snow scene because we never got the music. I mean, how do you get the music in time with what for what the dancers were doing?
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. I mean, I'd never seen it danced as well. They were together as a group, dancing together, being aware of where they were and what they were doing. And
Like it gave you chills watching.
yeah, it was just, it was beautiful. And it was amazing because it was beautiful in the silence, even though that piece of music is beautiful.
Yeah.
But with the snow, and it was almost like they were dancing in a meadow of
Sure.
snowing because it was so quiet and they danced. So that was another.
Wow, that's another testimony to your training for them, because here they are, they're younger people, and they have the discipline of staying, even though there was a gap in the program, nevertheless, there is actually the music. The music tends to pull things together. It brings the imagination in, but with that gone, the focus would be just on the artistry, which is really that kind of pares it down to the pure form, doesn't it? Right. Where you're just seeing them dance, and the fact that they're dancing. I mean, I didn't see this, but I'm thinking in my mind, the fact that these young people are still dancing in unison, that's pretty strong. And for that period of time, too.
And we always tell them, if something happens like that, just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But you're never really sure, are they all of them going to go, or are we going to have like 5 of them go and 4 of them stand there? I mean, this group all went. They all did it. And we talked to them about that. But again, you never know when it happens because we don't make it happen. It just happens.
Well, they make it happen, but they're like your children who carry on, and they make it happen. That's just really beautiful. That actually would be, in a way, it's almost a stronger performance than if you have the music, if that makes sense, because you're getting to see the artistry that you've given them, and they've bloomed. You know what I mean? You get to see the bouquet of the actual artistry of the dance, which is a special moment. Well, thank you very much. I think you've shared so much with us. Can you tell us about what's coming up this season?
Oh, we're really excited. Our 25th season is starting actually July 1st.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so we are getting ready for all exciting things. We're getting ready for our 25th Nutcracker. That's December 13th, 14th, and 15th at Zionsville Performing Arts Center. And then we have our 25th anniversary gala on 1/25/25, which is exciting. It's January 25th.
25th.
Yep, January 25th is our gala. And then we head into our mixed rep, which is March 9th. And then we're actually premiering a new ballet, which we have not announced to anyone until right now.
Wow. This is special.
Yeah, so we're getting ready to do Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
That'll bring everybody out.
Yeah, so that'll be, those 2 performances will be at the Tarkington. We're a resident company of the Tarkington. So we're really excited to end our 25th season with a brand new ballet. So
there you go. Well, thank you very much. And then we'll put the links up in the description notes so that you can follow the group and the shows that are coming up. And that will be exciting. Beauty and the Beast. Wow. That's exciting because that's a very high romantic story that has
It's original choreography by Paul Tillman, and he is one of our faculty members at the Academy. So we're really excited, and he's excited that this is, will be a premiere here for Beauty and the Beast for our company.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Ashley and Suzann. It's great having you with us today, and best wishes on the further success with your programs. and we look forward to seeing your shows
Thank you so much.
in the near future. And thank you for making your announcement on our show. That's great, which means you guys have to go to the show. Well, that's it for today's episode, and we'd like to thank Suzann and Ashley for being on our program today, and we'd like to thank our sponsor, Hotel Carmichael. We are recording today at Feinstein's, and we look forward to being with you on our next episode of The Omnibus Show.
If you enjoyed this program, please like, share, and subscribe to continue the conversation. For the Omnibus Show newsletter, please sign up at theomnibusshow.com.